Welcome to the offseason Fantasy Pros. I am Andrew Erickson. Today, breaking down the top 12 fantasy football quarterbacks for the 2025 fantasy football season. But before I get to my list, if you want a chance to win a signed Mike Evans Buccaneers helmet for free, courtesy of our friends at pristineauction.com, all you need to do is head to fantasypros.com/contest, complete the form, either download the Fantasy Pros My Playbook app, leave a review for the podcast, follow us on X, Instagram, or TikTok at Fantasy Pros. The more actions you complete, the more entries you receive, announcing a winner right here on the podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to subscribe, turn on those notifications so you can be alerted when new episodes are up and to claim your prize. When I was making this list, I used Fantasy Pros ECR rankings and some early best ball ADP. Now, let's get to the list. Drake May, New England Patriots. Patriots quarterback is going to enter the top 12 quarterback conversation this season. The offensive environment in New England is going to improve for May with additions in free agency, in the NFL draft, and I can't ignore the dual threat skill set. Among the 7 quarterbacks in 2024 that hit at least 30-plus rushing yards, which includes May, 5 finished inside the top 6 scoring quarterbacks on a per dropback basis. What the Patriots quarterback did as a rookie in a terrible situation cannot be understated. He threw at least 1 touchdown pass in the 10 games he played fully as a rookie. That resulted in 18.1 fantasy points per game, which would have ranked quarterback 15 on the year. Kyler Murray, Arizona Cardinals. No quarterback was more frustrating to roster than the Cardinals quarterback in 2024. He was an emotional roller coaster as the QB 11 overall and QB 12 in points per game. Among quarterbacks to finish inside the top 12 overall, Murray's 38% bust rate was the highest. He also finished outside the top 12 quarterbacks weekly in less than half of his games. But Murray was completely tough to outright bench because between bad games, he would post 21-plus fantasy points, which he did 7 times. But only once did he post a strong outings in consecutive weeks. I understand the frustration, as noted in my Never Draft Again video from earlier this offseason. Over the last 3 seasons, he has averaged over 30 rushing yards per game. But Murray is also the only quarterback to hit that threshold while also failing to finish top 10 in fantasy points per dropback. Woof. But Murray was still 4th in quarterback rushing yards last year. Marvin Harrison Jr., I expect to take a step forward in year 2. Trey McBride is going to catch more touchdowns, as Murray threw 7 fewer passing touchdowns compared to expectation. Bo Nix, Denver Broncos. The Broncos rookie quarterback had a stellar first year in Sean Payton's offense, finishing as the QB 9 overall and in points per game. He threw 30 passing touchdowns, rushed for nearly 500 yards, and 4 scores on the ground. From week 8 onward, the Denver signal caller was hitting over 21 points per game. Even so, Nix on the season overall averaged fewer than 20 points per game. Also, he had a 31% bust rate that was tied for the highest among top 10 finishers. If Denver finds its joker on offense this season, we could see the 25-year-old quarterback improve in year 2, especially with his nucleus of top wide receivers returning from last year. Jared Goff, Detroit Lions. The Lions quarterback finished 2024 as a QB 7 in points per game and QB 6 overall, 3rd in passing yards per game. But Jared Goff hit his stride as injuries derailed the Lions defense. From week 11 onward, Goff averaged north of 25 points per game. Weeks 1 through 10, with a healthier defense, fewer than 16.5 points per game. That's just one red flag the Detroit quarterback has to face in 2025. The loss of offensive coordinator Ben Johnson figures to be a challenge. Goff was just a QB 18 expected fantasy points per game, with virtually 0 rushing to supplement his passing production. Among top 8 finishers last year, Goff posted the highest bust rate at 31%. Brock Purdy, San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers quarterback did not live up to expectations in 2024, finishing as the QB 9 in points per game and QB 12 in 17 games played. Injuries devastated the San Fran offense, which forced Brock Purdy's production to regress. 2024 was the first season where Brock Purdy posted a passing touchdown rate below 7%. But with better health in 2025, we should expect Purdy to rebound. Even in a down season, his efficiency still got the Kyle Shanahan scheme bump. Purdy's 8.5 yards per attempt ranked 2nd best in the NFL. He also ranked 5th in passing yards per game. Baker Mayfield, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers quarterback hit career highs across the board in 2024, tossing 43 touchdowns, while rushing for nearly 400 yards and 3 more scores on the ground. Mayfield finished the season as a top 5 fantasy quarterback overall and in points per game. But with Liam Cohen gone, replaced by new offensive coordinator Josh Grizzard, formerly the Buccaneers passing game coordinator, concerns about production fall off should be considered. Mayfield is coming off a career 7.2 passing touchdown rate, the second highest mark in 2024. Although his high early rankings suggest these concerns are being overblown for a Buccaneers quarterback who's been a top 10 fantasy producer both years in Tampa Bay, still, I'm leaning on him being slightly overrated this high in the initial rankings. Patrick Mahomes, Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs finished second in pass rate over expectation in 2024. Patrick Mahomes ranked fourth in expected fantasy points per game. But alas, for the second straight year, Mahomes did not deliver. He was under 20 points per game as a QB 10. It was his second straight year he failed to finish top 7 overall, and his first finish outside the top 10 since he became a starter for the Chiefs. However, it wasn't all his fault. Rashee Rice got hurt early on, Travis Kelce showed his age, and Xavier Worthy took some time to get going. But once the rookie got ramped up, the production followed for Mahomes. Week 8 onward, the Chiefs quarterback averaged 21 points per game. There are enough positives from last year to buy the dip on the Chiefs quarterback in your 2025 fantasy football drafts. Joe Burrow, Cincinnati Bengals. Burrow's 2024 campaign will be lost in time because of how bad the defense for Cincinnati was. But there's no denying how elite Burrow played, leading the NFL in passing yards, touchdowns, completions, and attempts. The Bengals quarterback reestablished himself as the league's number 1 pure pocket passer, finishing as the QB3 overall and in points per game. But as the most expensive non-mobile passer to draft in fantasy, to go along with the injury history and the potential loss of his second best wide receiver, Burrow will carry more risk in 2025, especially at the expensive price tag. Jalen Hurts, Philadelphia Eagles. Only Lamar Jackson scored more fantasy points on a higher rate per dropback than Jalen Hurts. Super Bowl MVP, finished the year averaging over 22 points per game as a QB5. His strong postseason is a reminder that Hurts is an elite fantasy commodity and should be drafted as such, with a great supporting cast returning. The Eagles quarterback has rushed for 13-plus touchdowns in 3 straight seasons, and the tush push we trust. And also, if a combination of Saquon Barkley and the Eagles defense takes a step backwards in any way, Hurts would likely become a fantasy winner after leading the NFL's most run-heavy offense in 2024. Jayden Daniels, Washington Commanders. The Offensive Rookie of the Year took the league by storm in 2024, finishing as a QB4 through 17 weeks as a QB6 in points per game throughout the postseason. The Washington quarterback took command of Cliff Kingsbury's offense and operated as a deadly dual threat, averaging over 22 points per game. He rushed for over 1,000 yards in 20 games played, trailing only Lamar Jackson. If the Commanders can add more pieces around Daniels during the offseason, we should get a major boost in his passing numbers. The rookie finished 2024 third in expected fantasy points per game, making him an easy locked and loaded top 5 fantasy quarterback entering his second season. Josh Allen, Buffalo Bills. The Bills quarterback took home the MVP last year, although he finished as a QB2 overall and in points per game, hitting over the 22-point threshold. It was impressive, given that Allen lost his 2 top wide receivers from the previous year. However, he did fail to hit 4,000 passing yards and 29 passing touchdowns for the first time since 2019. Even so, he made up ground as a rusher, going for 12 scores on the ground. The Bills quarterback has finished either QB1 or QB2 for 5 straight seasons. Entering his age 29 season, it should be more of the same for Josh Allen in 2025. Lamar Jackson, Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens quarterback threw 41 touchdowns compared to just 4 interceptions in 2024. How he didn't win MVP, I'm not sure. Still, that awarded him fantasy QB1 overall status in 17 games played, although he hardly needed Week 18. Jackson's 25.6 points per game were more than 3 points higher than the QB2 in Josh Allen. With the core offensive nucleus of running back Derrick Henry, the receivers, and offensive coordinator Todd Monken returning, it's hard to envision Jackson as anything but a top 3 fantasy quarterback. The only factors working against Jackson are the historical trends. Leading the NFL in touchdown to interception ratio typically results in regression the following year, as does overall team health. According to Sports Info Solutions, the Ravens had the fewest injuries in the NFL in 2024. That's the list of top 12 fantasy football quarterbacks for the 2025 fantasy football season. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe, share with all your friends. And again, let me know in the comments who got snubbed, who's ranked too high, who's ranked too low, who are you going to be targeting, who are you going to be fading for quarterbacks in 2025. Let me know. But before you do, again, if you want to win a chance, a signed Mike Evans Buccaneers helmet for free, courtesy of our friends at pristineauction.com, all you have to do is head to fantasypros.com/contest. Complete the form, Either download the Fantasy Pros My Playbook app, leave a review for the podcast, follow us on X, Instagram, or TikTok at Fantasy Pros. The more actions you complete, the more entries you will receive. I'm announcing a winner right here on the podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to subscribe, turn on those notifications so you can be alerted new episodes are up, and to claim your prize. Thanks for watching.